All right, how's it going, guys? JJ Wilson here. Uh, I'm gonna make this really quick. This will be like a short review of Lupin the Third Part 6. So I was watching this series off and on throughout the winter and spring months. I finally got to finish it off, and funny enough, this anime is now gonna be on Toonami. So that lets you know it's not a bad anime, not at all. Now, do I think this particular part of the Lupin series was this better than five? I don't think it was. I think part five was actually more creative to me because it kind of put Lupin and his gang into the social media era and how they reacted to the latest technologies and stuff like that. So I will say that much. And mainly what part six was about, just to kind of quickly go over it, is basically two parts to this series. And it introduced a well-known character in the fictional world, Sherlock Holmes, and his sidekick Watson. And then the second half involved Lupin's past, in which surprisingly he was raised by a adoptive type motherly figure. I'll get to that momentarily. So I would say this: like a third of the series was the Sherlock saga. Yeah, the first part was the Sherlock saga. The second part was basically fillers, like in between. And then the second half, or the latter part of the show, or the season, was about Lupin's mother. So, the Sherlock series, I like. I think I like that one the best. Like that was really really good. Because it made Lupin look like he was a little bit more darker in character because he was framed to be the killer of John Watson, and there was speculation even amongst John Watson's daughter Lily that Lupin was actually the person that pulled the trigger and shot Watson, and that's why she lost her father because of Lupin. Well, it turns out that wasn't the case. And throughout their time in London, like Lupin was investigating the Ravens, and they're like this secret organization, and they had like a really enticing treasure that he was trying to get to add to his collection, of course, because that's what he does. He's a thief. But along the way, he has a rivalry against Sherlock Holmes, who knows all about Lupin's exploits and stuff, and he knows that he wants his treasure too, and he kind of undermines Lupin's investigation into the matter too, until the truth comes out that it was the Ravens that actually killed Watson and not Lupin. So once they figure that out, Sherlock doesn't arrest him. He actually cooperates with Lupin in order to take down the Raven organization. So that's the first half of that particular season. The second half, I'm not gonna lie, it was good, but it was weird. Like it was really weird, twisted even. like and there was a bunch of fillers in between that too. That's kind of why I had to kind of take a little bit of time off there because I was watching these other animes too and playing my game. But like this one, this one involved Lupin's adoptive mother, who turns out that's not his actual mother. Her name was Tomoe, and so as a kid, Lupin was learning the secrets of the trade, how to become a thief, how to become a pickpocket, how to read people's minds in order to get what he wanted. And Tomo was like one of his main teachers that pretty much taught him the tricks of the trade when it came to deceiving people and stealing, right? So that was kind of her mission. So she kind of acted as his nanny for a few years in his youth until they kind of separated and he went on his own. But all throughout that time that they were apart, Tomoe was always keeping track of Lupin every step of the way. And what she would do, she would manipulate females, since, Lupin was such a womanizer. She would manipulate females to kind of either aid Lupin, try to kill Lupin, or deceive him some kind of way in order to figure out what he's doing. And then in this particular season, Lupin meets this girl named Matea. And Matea is kind of undercover as a flower botanist at a flower shop. So she sells flowers. And it's funny because they kind of grow an attraction to each other briefly. And I think one episode, Matea travels to a foreign country. And this is where things kind of take a big twist because one of the... Was she a police chief? I can't remember. But apparently, somehow this woman got assassinated because she was like a representative of her country, and the country was kind of undergoing an internal crisis, if you will. And so Matea was there too. Funny enough, they happened to be in the same place on vacation. She was there for brief. That was a lie, actually. It was a vacation for her, and Lupin was over there to take a treasure out of that country during the midst of a internal conflict. And then, as Lupin was about to meet this woman who was, like I said, was a police chief of that particular capital, she ends up dead. And I guess as you watch the season, you find out that it was Matea that actually shot the woman to death. And the reason why is because she was trying to frame. Actually, it was Zenigata that got framed because, you know, Zenigata, he's always chasing Lupin around and stuff. That was briefly framed as the killer of the woman, but it wasn't the case. And so one thing led to another, and eventually they kind of fight one last time in the final episode because Lupin gets manipulated by Tomoe. And they end up going back to the very place where he grew up. And, you know, they said one thing to another, like a dialogue. And Lupin's talking about, oh, how much I love his mother and stuff like that. And actually, he was playing the whole time. He was able to kind of get away from Tomoe's mind control. Even after he got shot by Matea, who kind of caught up with the two and interrupted their reunion. And then, you know, Jigen, Goemon, Fujiko, they all come back and they help Lupin undercover the secret behind Tomoe's reasoning for manipulating Lupin is to try to get after Lupin's grand treasure, basically. So I was like, wow. But, you know, even with that said, you know, the woman, Tomoe, she didn't want to give up Lupin at all. Like, she said, I'm going to control your life no matter what. I don't care how many women I have to use to get to you. It's like, wow, this lady is crazy. And so, yeah, you know, Lupin finally does the dirty deed. He has to shoot Tomoe because she was going to continue to mess up his life and the life of Matea as well, who couldn't believe what she just heard and stuff. So like I said, that part was really twisted, man. You know, that second half of the season, don't get me wrong, it was very good, but it was like really twisted. That lady is crazy. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Lupin Part 6. I kind of dragged that longer than I should have. But if anybody else watched it, you kind of tell me what you thought about it and just make some mistakes. I know I probably did trying to explain what happened, especially during the second half, but that's pretty much it for what I have to say about Lupin the Third. Go check it out if you can. It will be on Toonami. I think it started last week, I'm afraid. Yeah, it did start last week. It started back in, what's today's date? The 19th? Yeah, it started on the 16th. So yeah, you can check it out there on Toonami in English. I watched this in Japanese, so yeah, check it out for yourself. This is JJ Wilson. I'll see you all later.